my ability to respond to life was really poor. I was the victim of my history, but I said, no longer will I be the victim of my history. I'm going to put my foot down and I'm going to be the victor of my destiny. And I started to exercise and eat better. And fast forward 9 months from that decision to take responsibility, Michael, I went from 250 pounds down to 170 pounds, 34% body fat, down to 6% body fat. Wow. So finally, right, I carved out this physical six-pack that I always dreamed of, being that kid that was bullied and picked on. But the most important thing I believe that I achieved was a mental six-pack. I started to think better thoughts. And I started to understand how important those thoughts were for my future and for my health. And that's where it all started for me in the health space. That's awesome. What a great story. So when you did this, it wasn't keto? What was the modality of it? It wasn't keto back then. It was exercising excessively, cutting my calories. So it was kind of a different approach than what I would teach now. I lost the weight, but I wasn't necessarily healthy. I was one of those fit, sick people. I had digestive issues and acne. So I was still trying to find my way on how to really experience true cellular health. And it wasn't until I discovered keto and intermittent fasting in 2013 that I really broke through with my health. Before we get into the modalities of everything and then what you do and all that and the success part of it, let's get into you a little bit more. First of all, you do really well. You're very personable. You have a great gift for, your videos and everything. Where does that come from? Does it come from mom, your dad? Where'd you get that part of it? Thanks, Michael. Well, I mean, a lot of it comes from my mom. My mom did a lot of the raising growing up, and I have a close relationship with her to this day. My mom is a very big-hearted person. She's probably the most unselfish person that I've ever met. So I learned a lot of my giving from my mom. But a lot of my creativity and just persistence and how I show up in the world has come from just being frequent and doing it enough times. I always say the frequency creates the genius. I totally sucked in the beginning. You put a camera in front of me, I'm just like all inside of my head thinking about what I look like, what I sound like. But I just did it enough times and I just kept embracing the suck. And eventually I got really good at it. So the frequency created the genius for me. I bet also, if I may add, that your origin story of dealing with social hardness created a nice saltiness to your personality as well, if I might add that. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think I just see that over and over again. I really enjoyed watching the videos, and just, your personality and how it just exudes out. It's just a naturalness, so let's get into the next thing. Now, when did you start to do videos, and when did you start to do this whole movement on ketosis is the big movement thing for you, right? It is. Yeah. My company is Keto Camp. We primarily teach keto and fasting as two very powerful tools, what I call ancient healing strategies. I started to get into it in 2013, 2014. I actually transitioned from a vegan diet for a year and a half and discovered keto and fasting. And then I started to do lectures and workshops and seminars here in Miami. And then eventually I decided to take my work primarily online, start a YouTube channel, a podcast, of course, LinkedIn and all the other profiles. And then I just kept showing up every single day, just posting, doing lives, and doing lives. And all of a sudden it just started to take off. So our YouTube
Let's talk about that real quick, because this is an interesting thing. This is so common. So many people have, they sell a widget or they promote something or whatever. And you have a nice progression, not to get too off subject, but let's go through all that. Cause the progression you just talked about, people start posting the videos. Some of it, you have to be a chapter ahead, right? Mm-hmm. It helps, but you didn't see traction right away, right?
No.
And when did you start to see critical mass? What did your journey look like when it's really started to kind of turn?
Well, I didn't see traction right away, to your point, for sure. I was doing Facebook Lives several times a week. I was posting on my social media outlets. And I remember when I first started doing Facebook Lives, first of all, it's kind of weird talking to a camera. You have to do it enough times to get used to it. That was one thing about it. But then I kept looking at, it shows you how many people are watching live, right? And in the beginning, it was like 0, 1, 3 people. And then it goes back to 0. And I'm just like, but I'm still showing up and speaking as if there was 100,000 people on that live stream, because maybe somebody will watch the replay. And if I could change one person's life, it'll be worth the time and the energy I put into it. So I'm a student. I love to learn. I study 3 hours every single day. That competence gives me the confidence to go on the video and start educating. And I just kept showing up, Michael, week after week, maybe there was 5 more people or 10 more people. And then people started to share it. And then I started to get good at asking them to share it and then giving calls to actions. But eventually it started to snowball. And I just kept showing up. One of my formulas for success is first understanding when you start a new goal or a new journey, whether it's a new podcast like you have or a YouTube channel or whatever it is, it might suck at first. It probably will suck at first. You're taking yourself out of your comfort zone. You're expanding yourself. You have to get more creative, think different thoughts, make new relationships.